Hello guys, and welcome to Broken Arrow. Big thanks to Slitherine for giving me access to this review build, where we're going to be able to show off the tutorial mission that you can see right in front of you, and there is another mission that I'll be able to play in a second video. But I thought what I'd do, I've already played this through once. I'm going to talk you guys through what's going on. For anyone who's new to Broken Arrow, this will be a great sort of introduction to the mechanics of the game, and I'll also give you guys some good tips as we go forwards. And for those who are already familiar with Broken Arrow, or maybe have played the game already in the beta phases, then this will kind of be a nice refresher and also a chance to have a first look at some of the single player content that you can expect when Broken Arrow comes out. So of course, we're going to be starting in the tutorial. So we have the unit colors. I have ours are blue, allies are green, hostiles are red, neutrals grey. Then we have basic commands for movement. So we have left click to select a unit, right click to move. You can double right click to make a unit follow the roads, or you can press the fast move command. Then we have camera movement, so WASD to move the camera around. You can move the cursor near the edge of the border of the screen to move it around. I think I have it turned off in my options, so that's why it's not working in this case. And then we have left and right mouse button to move the mouse. We have camera movement, so middle mouse button to rotate, like that. And then we have mouse wheel to zoom, of course. And that's all we need to know to get us started. So what we got to do is go and pick up Miller over here. He's chilling. And we're going to go pick him up with our Humvee. So we're going to just click fast move. That's going to cause our Humvee to use the road to drive over there and take down another fence along the way. I'm playing this on the max of the max graphics. I've even got the overscale option on in the image scaling. I'm running a 4090 with 2K resolution, so if you were wondering, that's what specs I'm using. So we've got units from 3 Baltic states here. It's like Lithuanian artillery. And you can see that the Panzerhaubitze 2000 is already in the game, which I thought was really interesting. For those who've played Broken Arrow already, we haven't seen this unit yet. It is a German artillery piece. In this case, it's the Lithuanians who have it under their army, or in their army. Let's get the Humvee moving on. And we'll head over to Miller, and then Miller, we're going to have to show off all of these different firing ranges, and that's going to be a great introduction to all of the mechanics in Broken Arrow, and I'll kind of talk through them as we go. So here's Miller, and you can see the lady here is Lieutenant Williams. We're going to show him to the different ranges. The whole idea of this in a sort of scripted concept is that we're showing off the equipment to potential enemies and like as a show of force, and also people who might want to buy it, like contracts and stuff. So that's kind of what's going on in the talking that you can see in the bottom left. Now, when the game actually comes out, all of this will be voice acted, I believe, and they will also probably update the script. So do bear that in mind. It's obviously not voiced right now, but this is kind of just a preview build of the first couple missions in Broken Arrow. So we're currently driving up to the mortar range where we'll get to try out the new striker mortar, which we actually haven't seen or had access to in the game so far, at least in the beta phases. So here we are at the artillery training ground, and we'll provide that demonstration she's talking about. So, first things first, we'll grab the striker, and we're just going to right click the Euro in order to tell it to fire at it. Now the cool thing about the striker that I noticed was they have guys in the back with the animation actually loading the mortar, which I thought was really cool. It's not present in other units that I've seen in the game so far, so hopefully they add it retroactively to other units. You might notice the sound effects are very, very cool, especially when you come near to the Ural here and hear those shots hit the ground. Now it's telling us about fire missions. So if we press T, when we have striker selected, we can see in the bottom right we have like HE ammo, smoke ammo, and then guided ammunition. We can change the duration. When you're playing in multiplayer, I would actually recommend doing short duration, because you want to be able to like move in between your salvos. So you want to do like a short duration move and then do another short duration afterwards, so you can kind of queue that up if you hold shift. Then we have the mode. So point mode is like so, where if I press T and then we go to explosion, and then we just kind of drag. Sorry, I keep changing the thing by accident. We just left click and drag to change the size of it. So we can do that, and it's going to point attack the Ural. I can also do a line attack if we do something like that, and that will now do a line, so it will just fire everything in this line. We can also do a creeping barrage like so, and that will fire from one side to the other. The line one is really useful for smoke. The creeping barrage is useful for just like firing ahead of your bush, and then obviously generally you're going to be using the point one. Now you might notice also that the striker RV here has a laser. We can use guided munitions. So if I press T and I press precise ammunition, we can just fire a precise ammunition at the Ural, and as it gets close it will get guided onto the target. You'll see it with the laser there. Really cool. And that last one might get pulled down onto the Ural actually. Nearly.
Order ready. Send mission. Solid copy. Fire mission received.
Alright, and there you go. Right, next up, we have anti-air. So we're going to be heading over to the Patriot Pack 3. I don't believe the Pack 3 has been shown off in either of the betas either yet, so that's really cool. Very nice unit. Williams and Miller having a nice chat about his hotel in the meantime. But let's get over here and fire away some missiles from this Patriot. So it's saying that it's standard procedure to keep the radar turned off. This is actually pretty important, especially in multiplayer, so that you can't get targeted by seed. They can fire without radar on in some cases, but in this case we're going to be turning the radar on. It's going to allow us to spot enemy aircraft in the air, or in this case drones, and then shoot them down with missiles which will have longer range because of the radar capability. Off they go. And we've got some Global Hawks over here that we're shooting down. Very cool indeed. The low-flying aircraft are harder to detect, and helicopters cannot be targeted at all by the Patriot. So in multiplayer, that's why people will fly really low and then they pop up at the last second in order to use seed, so that they don't get detected by the radar too quickly, and then the aircraft basically get killed. But here we have the little birds coming in as a little bit of a demonstration. You're always going to want to have something like an Avenger escorting your Patriots on the front line, just so that you can't get overrun by helicopters like that. Alright, let's move on to the tank range, and we'll be firing away with a couple of M1A2 set V3s. Pretty heavy Abrams with trophy systems and all that good stuff. You'll notice as soon as the Humvee goes off-road it is much slower, and if we go through the trees it's even slower than that. We can also hold shift to see like where this is going, so that little green line is showing exactly where I set the fast move command. Here we have the M1A2 tanks, and it's just going to be showing us that tank armor is stronger on the front than it is on the side, so these enemy tanks, the Armatas, are driving sideways, and then we're hitting them and doing way more damage. It's also saying how we have different ammunition types for different types of targets. If I click on this icon of the tank, we can get the details. So currently we're firing APF SDS. We also have heat and we have HE. We can force them to use different ammo types by clicking them on the bottom here. That will turn them on and off. So that's pretty handy as well. Anyway, it's asking us to get closer so that we can show the kinetic penetration in action. So each shot should do more damage now as we get closer. There we go. Now we're going to have a bunch of enemy targets running towards us. It's basically going to be a turkey shoot for the M1A2s. Now another thing that Williams mentions here is that Russian tanks have a slower reverse than American tanks. So in this case I can press G and reverse. I don't think G is reverse by default. I have that changed in my options. But basically we're going to shift back as these come towards us. Slowly but surely destroy these BTRs. There it is.
Someone called for a cab? Roger. Moving the next
Make a funny joke about how they needed to get the Lithuanian government to reinforce the roads so that they could get the 70-ton tank over the bridges. And I found that quite funny.
Moving out. Pedal to the metal.
I do like the environment in this mission. I think it's cool the way that they've laid it out.
Copy.
We're going to head over here to the Chinooks. We're now going to take Miller for a ride in one of these Chinooks. So it's going to tell us about cargo capacity. So in the bottom right, you'll see that we have a cargo capacity of 12.5 tons and we can carry 32 soldiers. We're going to go pick up the M113A3 here. I'm not sure in the full release whether or not they're going to have it be able to be airlifted underneath the Chinook, or if it's just going to be going inside the Chinook. But we can heavy lift this M113. We'll pick that up, and we're going to go and take it to the repair station, which is over here. Now a really interesting tip that I can give you guys, and I'll show you guys later on, is if you press U to unload and then you left click and drag, what will happen is your unit will unload and then it will move to the place where you dragged your mouse. In this case, this is immobile, so it's not going to happen, but later on we'll get a chance to show off how that works. So I'm just clicking U, left clicking to unload, and that will unload it. You can also double tap U to unload exactly where you are. So now I'm on top. If I just right click to move around, I can then just double tap U and he will land and drop it off, or I can press U, left click, and it will move to the location and then unload. And now we're going to give the Councillor Miller the chance to go shoot some stuff. This would be very, very fun to do in real life. Jumping in a Chinook and flying around, blasting the machine gun out the side. I really, really like the way that helicopters move in this game. Can't wait for the voice acting on this one as well. Alright, lovely. Job done. Let's head back to the helipad. Now Miller's trying to recruit the lieutenant. But we'll get that set down. If at any point you'd like to read any of the text that they're talking about, feel free to pause, because it is pretty quick, which is why I'm not reading it out myself. Also, I'm not too good at doing women's voices, so we'll leave that to the voice actors. Right, let's head over to the next range, which is the ATGM shooting range. Or just drive straight there, as it's most likely faster than trying to use the road or anything. We'll slow down quite a bit as we move through the trees, but otherwise we're all good.
Moving there now.
So here we have even more of the strikers. Strikers with 50 cals, strikers with the laser and the machine gun there. And at the front we've got the strikers with the ATGMs. Fortunately, they're a little boxy, but they do come back like so. Really, really cool how they have the reload animation as they drop down and then they fire away. It's telling us to laze these so that we can kill that effectively. Alright, now we'll move on to the infiltration course.
Moving out.
It'll be really, really good once this is voiced. I think, honestly, the ambiance of these missions with like the characters talking over it as you're moving around and learning stuff is going to be such a good tutorial mission.
Roger. We're on the move.
Alright, so we are testing camouflage. So the idea of this is that we've got to get our scout snipers to this objective without being spotted by the strikers.
Hundreds of gunmen here. Copy. Infiltrating.
We'll start moving out.
On the move. Stealth mode. Copy. We're moving in silence.
We also have the line of sight indicator. So I can press Alt in order to bring up the line of sight. Also something that I think people didn't realize was the case in the previous beta is if you press home, it actually shows you the contours on the map. So that's really cool as well. So you can easily see where there is changes in elevation.
Moving silent.
You'll also notice something that Lieutenant Miller mentioned, where if I mouse over the trees, you'll notice that it shows you where the cover is. Also, since we're playing single player, of course we have the ability to change the game speed.
Sneaking in.
So I'm just going to speed things up,
Infiltration underway.
and we're going to
Silence.
get this done nice and quickly. We'll just wait for the striker to come back and turn around, and then we can head out.
Walking like ghosts.
We're going to have to dip across here.
Copy. We're moving in silence. We move in silence.
We'll do a runner as the striker is starting to come back.
Infiltrating. Moving
Pretty
silent.
simple course.
Copy.
Let's just wait for the striker one more time, and then we'll run and capture the point.
Infiltration underway.
There it is. Simple as that. Right, next up we have the CQC Training Center. Now this part's actually pretty cool because it introduces us to some units that we haven't really seen yet. So this is close quarter training area. And yeah, these buildings are apparently here to simulate urban combat. So we get like a little bit of a game going here. We can bring in like recon vehicles, we can bring in rangers. This is what I was talking about, so we can get rangers. Very, very cool. So we'll bring in a couple of rangers. We'll get the rangers with the grenade launcher as well. So here's what you can do with the unload. You can press unload here and then drag to the building. And the rangers will unload and then run to the building automatically. Now this is great because you can queue it with other movements of your striker. Now the striker won't move itself afterwards. It's not like doing a shift, unload, and then right click move order. It works separately, so that's really, really cool. I'm gonna be careful with my poor truck there. Let's run the rangers into position. We'll bring up a javelin squad as well. Probably make sure that that's there before it captures. Now one thing you might notice is that we are fighting Estonian reserves. At the moment they don't have their unit models in game, but one interesting thing about them is they do have MG3s and G3s. So more German weapons already in the game. And they sound very, very cool. I'll keep the striker behind the building there just to make sure it doesn't get hit again. As units come under fire, you'll notice that they are getting panicked. When they're panicked, they are less effective in combat. You do have to worry about that a little bit. Yeah, it's cool to see the Rangers doing their thing.
Rangers engaged in combat. Roger, move and secure.
They were just creeping forwards there because they were slightly suppressed still. Let's have them sprint forwards and go and capture that point.
Striker here. Go ahead.
That's going to win the little scenario there. Brilliant. Now Miller's worried that our allies aren't ready to defend themselves because we did such a good job.
Armored transport reporting in.
But we remind him that they were just Estonian reserves. Alright, let's carry on now to the maintenance area, which will teach us about resupplying and fixing up units. So we're going to get sight on the Vilkas, which is another interesting unit from the Baltic states. These are the men that they can come with. Now again, the models aren't finished yet, but really cool to see G36 with the grenade launcher on it there, and then standard G36, and they also have this machine gun. Not entirely sure what machine gun that is. I'm sure you guys can let me know in the comments. Yeah, really cool APCs that we're seeing that are unique to Baltic states, I believe.
Moving out.
I just like the fact that these sorts of things have been added because it shows that in the campaign there might be quite a lot of attention to detail when it comes to like adding units from other factions. So now it's going to teach us about critical effects. So there are 4 types of critical effects: detection, aiming, reloading, and mobility. There are 2 levels of significance, yellow and red. Like if you have a red mobility your unit just can't move. If it's only yellow, then it will go slower, for example. You have to fully repair a unit in order to remove the critical effects, I believe. And we're going to be buying in supply. So we can load multiple ways. You can click on the supply card multiple times to load more at 1,000 a click. You can do control left mouse button to do 4,000 at a time, or you can shift left mouse button to do the maximum amount. Now this is something that I don't think a lot of people realize you can do in the beta, and it's really, really handy. It just saves you quite a lot of clicks. So if you just click your supply vehicle and then shift click, you'll see that it gives me 9,000 supply. If I control click, it gives me 4,000. If I just left click multiple times, then I can fill it up that way. And that's how I think a lot of people were doing it. But most efficient generally is shift clicking if you want to bring in like a big supply dump for your artillery or something. Alright, we'll just unload and left click in the circle to make it unload there, and then that should start fixing up all of these vehicles. The Hemmett's on the way. That's unloaded the supply dump, and that's now repairing in a circle around it. I really like the way that supplies work in Broken Arrow. I think it's really, really handy to be able to have like multiple supply dumps all over the place, and they're not directly tied to your vehicles. Alright, that's all of the training grounds inspected. And we're going to move on to showing off aircraft. The general coming along and saying that he's in charge, because Miller's getting a little carried away. A lovely F-15 in front of us there. We're going to be starting with A-10s. Oh yeah. Right, so we can crawl in an A-10 in the top left here. We're going to get Thunderbolt 2. It's going to come in with the Maverick missiles.
New heading set.
Here it is. Unfortunately, in this review build, all of the aircraft have their landing gear down, so don't mind that. That is not intentional and of course will be fixed. But here we have the ability to do airstrikes. So you'll notice in the bottom right we have the airstrike icon. We can press K to do a strafing run. So we can line up a strafing run that tries and hits all of these BTRs in one go. Like so. We'll follow it round, and it's going to unleash with the cannon, the rockets, and the Maverick missiles all at once. Hopefully wipe these all out. It's just lining up the run. I can use laser designation to guide the Mavericks in as well. And there you go. Beautiful. Sorry, I almost missed that. But you can see how effective the Thunderbolt was there. It absolutely demolished all of those vehicles in one run. So now we can return to base. You'll notice that the refund price takes into account missing ammunition and damage.
Back to home plate.
See the airbase over here. Looks really cool. Actually shows another thing that I really like about Broken Arrow is that you can actually put people in the vehicles on the ground and then fight over them with infantry. Right, next up's the Harrier, so we'll bring that in. And we are showing off now a bombing run, which works a similar way to the strafing run, but of course we drop bombs instead. So we got 6 500-pound bombs here. Harrier once again with its landing gear down. Put bombs away. And goodbye, enemy vehicles. Now, bombing strikes, usually what you'd want to do is have them come in low, and then as they get close to the target, then you go up to altitude and drop the bombs, because otherwise you're more likely to get shot down by AA on the way there. Alright, time to get the F-15EX out. Very cool aircraft, this one. You've got a BMP-3 here that is waiting to be hit by laser designated bombs. So what we need to do is select the Eagle or select laser designation. We put the laser on the BMP-3 and then we press P to do guided munitions. I'm going to press it twice and then we're going to left click twice next to the BMP. And now what will happen is when the Eagle gets its bombs on target, we will see them be guided in by the laser. The bombs away. Goodbye BMP. Now in a multiplayer game you want to do this like as fast as possible really. You never really want to have to circle it in order to get your strikes off. You want to line them up well. The smart bombs have a limited radius of correction. To hit moving targets, drop the bomb on its predicted path using the precision strike order. So we mark him with a laser and then we basically try and predict where he's going to go, and we'll probably just change that as we come in. Make sure to laser designate. There we go. Boom. And now we're going to be bringing in the F-15 again to show air-to-air capability, because it does have AMRAAMs and sidewinders, of course.
Flight plan updated.
Once again, the landing gear down, but will be fixed. Look at all those missiles underneath. We can engage multiple targets at once, and you'll see also that we can change target. So if, for example, that first drone goes down whilst the missile's heading towards it, if it's something like an AMRAAM, we can change the target mid-flight, which is really cool. It does it automatically.
Roger,
3 out of 3.
new course set.
Let's finish off the last one with a Stinger. Nice. General, we've got a problem. They only sent 3, not 4 drones. So we shot down a Russian drone. But there you have it. That is the tutorial mission, and that kind of leads us on to the war with the Russians in this game, because the whole concept of Broken Arrow is going to be like a sort of war based in the modern age between like NATO and Russia, mainly the US and Russia to begin with, I believe. But you can see that they have added a lot of interesting units that aren't American that we'll probably see throughout the campaign. So yeah, really looking forward to more of Broken Arrow. I think the single player, once it's voiced and they update the script a little bit and stuff like that, it's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to it, and hopefully this guy gives you a taste of Broken Arrow. I know some of you guys are like frothing at the mouth to get your hands on Broken Arrow. Unfortunately, this isn't available to everyone, this sort of single player mission or two. It's just a review build, so yeah, bear that in mind. But I thought I would talk through the tutorial stuff today, and hopefully that was informative and maybe showed off some of the mechanics that you might not have known about in Broken Arrow. But that's all from me. Thanks again to Slitherine for giving me the key. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.